All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a look real quick. Hey, how come YouTube goes like 10 seconds? It's like it's recording 10 seconds, but then it starts all over again. I don't know, but we're gonna touch base a little bit on Delphi. Now, the video I'm watching is Delphi Murders, Libby's dad, and bridge guy Richard Allen allegedly. So let's listen to a little bit of this because this is interesting. I mean, they must have just missed them. But then there's some also interesting stuff about Derek and stuff. So let's go ahead and listen to this a little bit of it real quick.
About 2 weeks ago that apparently Richard Allen's defense team is oblivious to. I want to go over it and show you exactly where I got the information from. I don't want to end up in a court document being accused of having leaks or something. Richard Allen's defense team filed a motion last night to compel discovery and request sanctions due to discovery items that were handed over late, stuff that they had to specifically go ask for, stuff that they were told doesn't exist, only for it to be found later.
Hello, Miss Debbie Fox. I thought maybe you were napping or something, so I was going live real quick. Now you go ahead and grab your little blanket and your tea and sit right there and chat. And this is gonna be a very short video, I think.
And stuff, very concerning details about a professor
Can you hear
who
okay?
thinks that the sticks are runes and how the prosecution dealt with that information. There are a lot of really interesting details in this filing, but I'd urge people to remember that this is a defense filing and they have been very creative and clever with their wording in previous documents, as has the prosecution. It's not one-sided. The PCA itself is an example of that. They are brought up to it, and that's why we need a trial ASAP, in my opinion. Just show your cards to a jury. The geofencing and geodata stuff is very interesting, but that's going to be a bit messy, I think. I've made a video on it before. It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it. I'll link it above. But apparently there's a map of phone movements and it's missing reports, context, and follow-up. I would be very interested to know how this was allegedly
missing phone reports and data. So let's see what this guy's saying. I am just listening, super tired. Yeah, you relax, okay? Is it too loud for you? I know your ears are sensitive, so just let me know.
Done, because based on what they are legally allowed to do, this should not be possible. It should not be possible to have one so accurate anyway. Is it someone just guessing, or is it based off actual data? We don't know. And the defense themselves are like, if this is a load of BS, then please just tell us. But we have no context around it at all, and we have no document to say that this isn't true. It seems like the defense also believes that maybe there was a second phone found, perhaps. The full document is updated on my community tab. I post a lot on my community tab, so...
A second cell phone, the authorities think.
Make sure you're subscribed so you see it. But there's some very interesting details, and you're left with a lot of questions. But I want to talk about what they said about Kelsey and Derek, because that's shocking. It's a fundamental, basic component of this case, and I don't understand why after almost 8...
Okay, all of Derek German's law enforcement interviews, including video, audio, and other notes, reports, memorizing any law enforcement interview. If he was never interviewed, the defense would ask for confirmation of that fact for purpose of establishment a timeline and all of Kelsey German's phone dumps, of all phones attributed to Kelsey German. If her phone was never collected, the defense would request confirmation of this fact. Furthermore, every law enforcement interview of Kelsey German included video, audio, and/or notes, reports. Memorizing any law enforcement interviewers, if she was never interviewed, the defense would ask, okay. And they think people, Debbie Fox says, and they think people should just let it go, but there are too many people involved. Nah, little Debbie.
18 months locked up in a prison, that this stuff isn't handed over to the defense. It's also worth pointing out, maybe, and please don't jump down my throat, because I know a lot of people who watch this channel disagree with some of my thoughts on the defense team, but it's worth pointing out that they talked about the crime scene movements in this doc, and they could have easily put in stuff about Derek and stuff about Kelsey right alongside that, out of context, and fueled some fires. They didn't, and even with Kelsey, they called out that this is for the purpose of establishing a timeline. They could have leaved that out easily, but I think they are aware of some of the torture and nastiness that Kelsey has had to put up with over the years online, and this shows.
Okay, so the reason they didn't release the data or whatever, or do collect or whatever evidence, was because Kelsey was already going through stuff and Derek's past, right? Which might have fueled it or made things look, different. But in fact, in reality, you have to take that in consideration. It might be nothing. It might have been just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. But in effect, you might want to take that into consideration of what was going on. What kind of relationship was going on between the girls and someone else, or was there commotion within the family, whatever. Let's continue.
Some bit of morals and ethics, in my view. It seems there are some lines that they won't cross, thankfully. Kelsey's movements and Derek's movements, there's nothing strange with them wanting to have that. That's very important when you're trying to recreate what happened. And for the defense team not to have these details is unacceptable, in my view, after 18 months. These little details matter. One of the things I talked about in a past video is how allegedly the killer, which allegedly is Richard Allen, how close they came to Derek when they were walking back to their car. Muddy and bloody, allegedly, and with Libby's underwear and her sock in his pocket. So have Richard Allen.
Aha! So the killer had a pair of underwear and sock, from what this gentleman is saying, and walked right past the father, right? Derek or whatever, that was out there searching. That's going to play a key, because if they found that at Richard Allen's house, if they found a pair of underwear, supposedly from what this gentleman is saying, and a sock, yeah, we'll tell you like we told Tony Montana. It's hard to get out of counting 1.75 mil in the camera, baby. Just like that. That's. I mean, if they found something like that at Richard Allen's house, he buried it, whatever, burned it possibly or whatever. They found fabrics of it or whatever. Then yeah, he'd be screwed, right? Because of course everyone's saying he didn't leave DNA. How can you convict on DNA? Well, before there was DNA, there was arrests, and a lot of them arrests were correct, because before DNA, there was other things that people used, like a high-powered microscope, and looked at the fabric, and then they can compare it with other fabrics, and it had the same pattern, strain, whatever in it. So yeah, let's continue on this
Allen's
journey.
defense team not even realized this yet because they have no movements or timestamps in discovery from Derek. It's not right that any YouTube channel can put movements together, but a defense team cannot. There should not be any details that people on the internet have that Richard Allen's defense team don't know about. That's ridiculous. I'm going to play the little map animation with Derek, Abby and Libby, Betsy, Sarah C, FSG, and I'm going to play it alongside where I got all the information on Derek. And you'll see why I had certain timestamps in there, and you'll see why I had Derek moving in certain directions at certain times. When it comes to Sarah C, one of the witnesses who contributed to Sketch 2, I have her passing BG east of Mayor's Lot. This is not confirmed. We know she was captured on camera at the Hoosier Hardware store at 50.
Now that sketch right there, a lot of people thought was Derek in the beginning of this case, or Derek, whatever his name is, the father of one of the girls. And I can see how it did. If you look at some of his old photos and stuff, it does kind of look like him. So, like we said before, there are so many people that look like Bridge Guy, right? There are so many people that look like Bridge Guy because we're seeing all kinds of different faces within the Bridge Guy. So, let's keep going.
1957, and Derek also made a call at that time. She said BG was walking on the north side of the road, the same side as the Harvest store is on,
You're probably
and
right,
he's not
little
captured
Debbie.
on that camera. So at very least, at two stages, if what Sarah says is true, BG switched what side of the road he was walking on. And BG is allegedly Richard Allen, according to the prosecution. But keep an eye on BG and keep an eye on DG, Derek. The audio that I'm going to play alongside it.
You know, for all we know, folks, and I'm going to be honest with you, all these people might have actually known each other. And I know it's hard for these people to fathom. Derek might have known Richard Allen, but didn't know it was him. I mean, they might have all been friends out there or whatever. We don't. Well, they're trying to connect the dots. We know this much. It's a small town. There was only one place where everyone went to go drink, and there was only one place where everybody went to go hang out and do whatever. Now, in the beginning of this case, there was reports of people all over there. There was reports of a white van or camper or something under the bridge with a man and a woman or a younger couple arguing. Okay, and everyone said, "Oh, that's a lie. That's a lie." Well, now Richard Allen is saying that he's seen a white van. So now, how much of that original theory that was put out in the beginning of this case, how much of that is a lie? Because they told us in the beginning of this case, oh, you got pareidolia. You're seeing stuff. There is no photo of no van. There's nobody out there. But now you have witnesses that have come forward and said that there were these certain vehicles in that area. And now we know it's true because Richard Allen said he's seen or was spooked by a white vehicle or van or whatever. Well, I wonder if the other reports is real, that there was a couple out there arguing, a man and a woman, right? Well, it's very well possible.
This is from Scene of the Crime podcast, episode 2. I will link that down below, but Kelsey, Libby's sister, is a producer on this podcast, and she's talking quite a bit. So I trust the info about the phone calls because Derek more than likely has a screenshot of the times that these calls were made. So here's the audio alongside the animation I have the animation sped up a bit at the start and then slow down at the end.
Libby had made arrangements with her father, Derek, to pick the girls up between 3 and 3:30 p.m. at the same spot where they were dropped off by Kelsey. Derek had been required to drive to Frankfurt to do some appraisal work for Becky, so he was out of pocket until sometime in the mid-afternoon. Derek told Libby that he would call her when he was approaching the area, so she and Abby could be sure to be back at the parking area waiting for him. Derek's first phone call to Libby was placed at 3:11 p.m. He was calling her from his car as he drove across the Wilson Bridge a few minutes down the road to let her and Abby know that he was nearly there. Derek was surprised when Libby's phone rang and then went to voicemail. He called her again at 3:13 p.m. as he arrived at the parking area and sent her a text, but got the same result. This was very
Let's
unusual.
back up here.
Libby knew that she was to answer her phone when family called, and they had...
Wow. So this is not showing. Let's back up here.
He called her again at 3:13 p.m. as he arrived at the parking area and sent her a text, but got the girls up between 3 and 3:30 p.m. at the same spot where they were dropped off by Kelsey. Derek had been required to drive to Frankfurt to do some appraisal work for Becky, so he was out of pocket until sometime in the mid-afternoon. Derek told Libby that he would call her when he was approaching the area, so she and Abby could be sure to be back at the parking area waiting for him. Derek's first phone call to Libby was placed at 3:11 p.m. He was calling her from his car as he drove across the Wilson Bridge a few minutes down the road to let her and Abby know that he was nearly there. Derek was surprised when Libby's phone rang and then went to voicemail. He called her again at 3:13 p.m. as he arrived at the parking area and sent her a text, but got the same result. This was very unusual. Libby knew that she was to answer her phone when family called, and they had made a plan for Derek to phone her, so her not answering was concerning. Derek got out of his vehicle and, seeing no sign of the girls at the designated meeting spot, started walking. After a few yards down the path, there is a junction where there are 3 different directions in which he could have proceeded. One was the High Bridge Trail in the direction of the...
Wow. Interesting. Hello, Rick. Let me check with my chat real quick. Debbie, how you doing? You all right? He may be guilty, but there are so many conflicting accounts. But how much of that made it to the jury? Yeah. The bumbling and lack of total information will keep R.A. there until he expires. Is that true justice? I don't know.
Old train bridge, the 501 trail toward the southeast. One was a shorter downhill trail that ends at Deer Creek, the 505 trail. The last was the 501 trail that leads away from the High Bridge and to the Freedom Bridge over the Hoosier Heartland Highway. As Derek reached the 3-way fork in the trails, he noted an older gentleman in a flannel shirt returning from the High Bridge Trail.
Ah, flannel guy. Right? Everyone said we were crazy. Like, flannel guy? What are you talking about? Well, in the beginning of this case, if you were watching this from the beginning of the whole case as it unfolded, it was on the news out here. So, flannel guy now is real, right? He was in the beginning, but now everyone pushed him to the side and said there was no flannel guy, there was no dog walker, there was no this, that.
Derek asked the man if he had seen 2 girls, and the man responded that he had not. He had seen a man and woman down under the bridge, but no girls. Thinking
A man and a woman down underneath the bridge, but no girls.
that the girls must have gone a different way, Derek took the 505 trail down to Deer Creek, but
Now, Debbie, if you're watching this diagram over here, that's BG, Bridge Guy. This is Abby and Libby. So their phone records or whatever is showing they're right over here, supposedly. The family's over here or something, or I'm not sure.
Finding nothing, turned around to return to the trailhead area, calling Libby's phone again as he walked at 3:24 and 3:32. When he reached his vehicle, Derek called his mom and Libby's grandma, Becky Patty, at 3:33 p.m. to tell her that he could not find the girls and Libby wasn't answering her phone. After he called Becky, he called his sister Tara and left her a message asking whether she had heard from the girls. Derek then walked toward the Freedom Bridge and again ran into the older man in the flannel shirt. And again, there was no sign of Libby and Abby. Frustrated, Derek turned around and went back to his car. Calling Libby again at 3:57 and Becky at 3:58. It was now approaching 4 p.m. The girls were significantly late. Derek began to be alarmed.
So I hope that explains why I had certain movements for Derek. Like I said, maybe BG passed him before he got back to his car, but that would leave a lot less time at the crime scene, and it doesn't really explain why he was walking on the north side of the road and not captured on camera.
Exactly. There's a camera there. They would have seen it. They would have definitely picked up him walking. Not unless he came back on the trail, right there where Derek or the girls were dropped off, and then skimmied through the trees or whatever possible, or just got back on the trail and walked out. Right? He did he went in one way, did a complete circle, came in. Because he probably did remember, oh crap, whoever this was knew the area. So much so they weren't worried about. I mean, if Derek was out there calling and screaming the kids' names, surely he would have heard it. He would have heard it or something, man. Now, who were the people underneath the bridge that were arguing, supposedly? At first, when this information first came out, they were arguing. So that's why we thought possibly it was a trafficking thing. They lured, because at first, in the beginning of this case, there was 30 girls out there. All of a sudden, they couldn't produce the 30 girls that was there. So we all thought they lured all these girls there with this model and they trafficked them. And Abby and Libby maybe was sacrificed so the rest could get away. We weren't sure, right? But they were telling us, it's impossible. That's bull crap. All right, fine. Then we found out there wasn't 30 girls there. There was 20 or whatever. And then that continued to drop. And we were led to believe that Kelsey dropped off the girls and left right away. Just dropped them off and left. She had to be at work or something like that. Well, if that's the case, and Richard Allen is saying that he's seen 3 girls or 4 girls in the front when he came in, and he also seen 3 girls on the bridge, then who was the one girl that broke away, or who was missing? Which, all that's going on here, I don't know, man. It seems like there was a lot more possibly to this case than we'll ever know. Probably so gruesome we don't want to know. But facts be fact, anything is possible in something like this. And if they had connections and then they had a cop on the inside, supposedly that was corrupt, then yeah, something like this can be pulled off. Now, a lot of people are questioning the family, but that's the first thing they look at in a family. And they always keep the family or what was going on with the family on the back burner in a case like this. I would imagine they would, right? I mean, do I know? No. I'm an idiot that just watches a lot of crime crap. And it's some of it is a is good science and stuff like that. It's interesting how they solved cases. It's even interesting how they solved cases before science and all this DNA stuff and everything. They did it the old-fashioned way, and it must have been 100 times harder. But they solved cases without DNA. So now the authorities think there was another phone used. Whose phone was it? Where'd it go? And now you got these people questioning, well, how come we can't see the data from the family's phones or whatever? And, missing, it's missing or whatever. Why weren't they questioned? Why weren't they investigated? And I do believe I've seen a video of the sheriff, Toby Cobb, or whatever his name is, the one that was actually a suspect in the case. Um, I watched him doing an interview, and he was talking about the family and Derek's past with the meth and drugs or whatever. Uh, and all he said was, right, he asked the interview people, do you know the family's history and stuff? And the interview lady said, yes. And the sheriff said, then we don't really need to talk about it anymore. So you have to keep that in mind also. Now, I'm not saying the family did anything wrong, but like a lot of people are saying, if meth was involved in ratting on people, well, then I imagine it could have been a revenge kill or something. Let me see what my chat is saying. Miss Debbie Fox is saying something. They kept everything so hush hush. Or are we supposed, or what were we supposed to think? Exactly, though. I mean, come on. Oh, yeah, I know. And then Miss Debbie Fox says, I don't know. Just my thinking. I go back and forth. I want to know who Bridge Guy is. Oh, that's the secret right there. Here's the thing. Somehow this creator seems to think that the killer had a pair of underwear and socks in his pocket as he walked by the father, right? And if they knew each other, then he probably didn't even think anything of it, right? Walked right past, hey, how you doing? Right? You seen any girls? No, I haven't seen nothing. And he takes off, right? But when he recognized him from the bar or whatever, or area or CVS, none of these people recognize it. It's the only place to get your medication filled, or Walmart. All, I don't know. Is there a Walmart in Delphi? Well, god dang it! I think I've seen a video where Richard Allen worked at a Walmart before he worked at CVS. So don't you think? And no one, not one of these people, recognized him as, hey, it's the CVS medicine guy. Did they not ask his wife? Does she think Harry? Yeah, she said it. She said it's impossible. There's no way that he would have killed himself if it was him. Well, I'm sorry, Miss Allen, but he's threatening to kill himself. Now he's threatening to kill everybody. So, I mean, you got to look at it that way. Maybe he was on the way of killing himself. If they didn't, if they knew it was him, and they came out and said that, and didn't pick him up again, maybe he was planning to kill himself, right? Because he was questioned a couple times. Don't you think the wife would have known that he was questioned, or did he keep that from the wife at first, right? She knew he was out there, but she didn't know he talked to the cops and they were questioning him about something. That's possible too. He played it off like it was nothing, right? That he was a hero, he was a witness. He was cleared. His file was found, stamped on it, cleared or covered, meaning clear. They use other stuff, either that or it was marked covered, meaning he was being covered. They were watching his ass. So it's a very interesting case. I think we all figured it out a while ago what was going on. Were they all connected? Were the phones connected? I imagine we'll never know. I would imagine so. Somewhere down the road, these guys knew someone, or knew the family, or knew these people. I mean, how can all these people? How could all these people not believe it when they all either you, all these people had to be to that CVS at one time or another, or the Walmart where he worked. No one, no one recognized him. Not one. Not one. That's very interesting. Almost like cloak and dagger. Almost like the devil was on his side that day. How does the father walk that close to the crime scene and Bridge Guy walks right around the same time as everyone's there looking for him? That means it was a lot later. It was a lot later because I don't think they got out there till 4 o'clock. 4 or 5 o'clock, everyone got out there looking. So it's, I don't know if Bridge Guy walked right past the searchers and the family and everything. It's possible. And not one of them recognized him. Maybe they did, but they just think there was no way it didn't catch in their mind or something. I don't know. Let's see what Miss Debbie's saying. She didn't wash his clothes. What the holy cows are. Yeah, she didn't wash his clothes. Well, I know Bob Nada was asking the wife what he looked like that night when he came home. Did he leave that night? Did she said he was at home the whole time. That night. But the murders, he would have been home before night, right? He might have been home. What do you consider night? 9, 10 o'clock at night? Right? I mean, depending on what you consider night. Is 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock night? Was he home by then? What time did she get off of work? Right? Was she home before he came home? For all we know, he could have changed. If he did drive, well, then it's possible he changed and pulled in the driveway and walked right into the house like nothing happened. I don't know. A lot of people in that area, and no one knows nothing. Can't connect to the dots. Can't, and I don't blame them. It's a tough case, right? You got a lot of players, a lot of phone data that has not been gone through. You got a lot of DNA that's left, 72 hairs or something they said. Where's the crime scene photos? Was there any footprints? Are you telling me that you ain't got one footprint, a clear footprint that you can match to a foot? But so much time has gone by. If them were the shoes or whatever someone was wearing, by now they got rid of them. Heck, you might want to check the shoe tree. This psychopath might have done it, took his shoes off and hung them on the tree. Maybe all them shoes are his, or how many people he killed or something. We don't know. He could be. I'll tell you what, he's delusional. And just, if he's faking it, then he is a madman. If he is faking it, he's delusional. He might not have killed, but his mind, he is a madman. Because he's playing psychological games with society and the government. He's just as psycho as if he did do it. He maybe thinks he's superior than everyone else. Right? Maybe. We know this much. Good God Almighty, he probably could have stood on a ladder on top of his house and seen the murder site, maybe, and relived it every day. He could have walked in there and walked out. We don't know. It would have been nice if they would have showed us everything they had, proof that, hey, here's the video of his vehicle driving by. Right? This is his vehicle. It would have been nice to be shown a lot of this stuff, the surroundings of the crime scene where the bodies were found, any activity coming out of the creek or going into the creek, meaning footprints, drag marks, anything. It would have been good to see this stuff, as the people, as Americans. Now there's leaked photos out there of the girls deceased, and someone said it looks like she had a bruise on her inner thigh. Maybe that looked like a rope tied around the leg, the thigh, which everyone thought maybe that's how they drugged the girls to that spot, or they hung them. In the beginning of this case, they were saying the girls were hung upside down, and well, not in the beginning of the case. When they found out there was leaked photos, then everyone started saying that it's possible the yellow rope was used to hang the girls upside down, maybe, or drug out there. Maybe this is the problem is we'll never know because we have not actually seen crime scene photos. Now, I could tell you this much. If we seen the crime scene death photos of the girls and there was ligature marks around the leg, thigh, or whatever, ankle, whatever, then we would know that the girls were tied up or drugged, or something was used, like possible a rope or a piece of cloth, something that you would be able to drag the bodies or hang them up like they were claiming. Now, maybe there wasn't a rope, but that rope was found possibly at Richard Allen's house. We don't know. Or fibers of the rope or whatever was used. Because like I said, we don't know. Because we're saying the photos that we've been seeing are a bunch of lies now. So how do we know if the crime scene photos of the girls' bodies, what these people say, it was bruised around the thigh, the inner thigh, or around the thigh, like something was used to drag them or hang them? We don't know because we don't have cameras in the courtroom, so we don't know. I'm a noisy, and then if we was up to something, or he was up to something, yeah. I seen one about Walmart. He wasn't so good. Yeah, they say he was kind of freaky at the Walmart, like with the women or something. Yeah, maybe he just. I'll tell you what. It's it's uh it's crazy. There are more people coming out saying now that it fits more like him. He was a weirdo or something. Uh, would talk about stuff in public, right? While other people were around about doing like sex and stuff like that. And yeah, when you're doing that in public, right? I mean, I don't. I'm not judging anybody, but I can see him talking that way to his wife and behind doors or in private messages or whatever. But when you're talking that way to women you work with in public where other people can hear you and stuff, yeah, that's probably a no-no, right? But maybe he was just so cocky. Maybe he's been doing this for a long time, folks, and he was just so cocky. He didn't care. Just he never thought. They never think they'll get caught. Once they do so many murders, it's like Zodiac, which I'm wondering if they ever caught Zodiac, but they say they did. But yeah, but how many years has it been? Uh, you do so many murders like that, he got more confident because he had a feeling that they'll never find him. He was too smart. I mean, we might be dealing with something like that with Richard Allen. Who knows? Or whoever did them murders. But all I know is maybe you look at a lot of these theories. Excuse me. People saying, well, could the family have been involved or whatever? Not possibly. It's possible. Richard Allen was the scapegoat, was the guy to do the job or whatever. Possibly. He got caught. Possibly. Richard Allen did make some confessions, like there was others leaning towards. He did the murders, but he didn't do what the stuff they they did or something like that. He said it's possible, right? I'm not going to tell them people they're wrong because it is a theory, and it's very well possible, right? They didn't want to get their hands dirty. They got someone else to do it, possibly. Highly doubt it, but it's possible. But I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Uh, I'm not. Well, I can't say that because we've been seeing a lot of crazy cases where parents are killing their own kids. It's all speculation station. Yes, this on this channel, this is only our theory, my theory, and my speculation. Or I have no proof. Maybe the proof is missing. Maybe the evidence that we needed to solve it completely, to link them all together, is missing. That is the data that's missing. And will it ever be found? I don't know. It's somewhere in a server. How long will it take to find all that data that is missing? Who knows? Right? It's somewhere. If it's data, it went through a server. It went through someone's server or data bank or cell tower data or whatever. It's somewhere out there. Finding it, well, I don't know. That's the guys that make 100,000 a year or more that go out and can read this data. Right? The big dogs. Me, I don't know. We're old school YouTube couch potato investigators. All this new data stuff and technology. It's not new. It's just new to some old timers. It's new to some people that are younger too. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is this. If the police think that there was other phones involved or other people involved, then they're probably right. They might have been covering Richard Allen all along. Something he said must have, I would think there would be a difference between cleared, meaning he had nothing to do with the case, and covered. Now, covered, I would think, well, here's a file. They're covering this guy. They got a guy up his butt. Every move he makes is being covered. But they're saying, nope, the technology, the term now has changed. It's no longer cleared. He's been covered. That don't make sense. Does that make sense to you, Miss W. Fox? Rick? When I heard that, I was like, no, covered means someone's on his ass. Watch him. Cleared means cleared. That had nothing to do with it. The alibi checked out. They had proof that guy was not there. It don't make sense. But nothing does in the devil's world. So we go on. The case is still open. If you check today, it still says ongoing case. So the case goes on. Who's next? Who else had a part in the madness down there? Who knows? Too bad we couldn't see Richard Allen all of his phones and data. Well, Richard Allen's phone is missing from 2017. A coincidence? I don't know. Excuse me. It don't take a rocket scientist. All right, let me check and see what's going on in my chat. No, it doesn't make sense. It don't, Rick. Let's see what Debbie Fox is saying. None of it does. You got that right, woman. Dude, it don't. But watch. This case is going to come 360. And I got a feeling that in the beginning of this whole case, somewhere lies the truth. And some of these YouTubers and some of these people led us away. But we'll see. It's coming back around. It's coming back around. Now that data is still out there of family members. They can dump it, right? They can dump all their stuff or whatever, but it's still in their their internet or phone company, cellular phones data. It's in there somewhere. You just got to find the rocket scientists to get the data out from these places. How? I don't know. That's why they call them extractors, because they go in and they get this stuff. It's in there somewhere. I don't know. Maybe it ain't. Maybe everything has been destroyed. Maybe they changed servers and routers and all kinds of other cell phone uh, data collecting database. Maybe that was wrecked. Maybe I don't know. It was just changed over time. How about they test that here for shits and giggles? Yeah, all 70 of them. Supposedly there's 77 pieces of DNA that was never tested. You might have wanted tested them before you went into court. All I know is they got one of them, and I wouldn't say one of them. I would say they got 7. The Delphi 7. A lot of people are like, you can't say that. I just did. It just happened. Boom. Right there. The Delphi 7. Why? Because if you count up the guys that they already caught for numerous crimes similar to Delphi against women and kids or whatever, and gay people down there, there's like 7 of them locked up. They had Kurtz, they had Chadwell, they had Keegan Klein, they had Dave, they had a whole bunch of dudes that were picked up down there. And they were looking for others involved. Right? You had Sullivan, or not Sullivan, Duvall, who worked out there and actually worked at the same place as Tony Klein. You had Tony Klein, who I do believe they questioned. I don't know if they ever arrested him. The Delphi 7, and it's growing. It might grow bigger. Right? We can't find out what was in Keegan's phone. How many photos of the underage kids? You got to investigate that. Find the parents, find the kids, make sure they're alive. Big operation. Big. I never realized how much goes into an investigation. It's huge. And if you ain't got the manpower, I can see why it took 7 years. If you ain't got the manpower, if you ain't got professionals to read the data and to send guys out into the field to take interviews or tips or whatever, yeah, it's going to take a long time. What a case. And it was just a perfect storm, man. It was just a perfect storm. Way too many players, way too many people, players. The things that were going on around the family at the time of this, the things that were going on in that town and surrounding towns at the time of this, it's the perfect storm. A mind best seller, a mind bending twister movie of who done it. Right? I know you got tons of money on your mind, and your mind's on money. But I don't know. That's just what it is. It's just a mind twister, who done it, spooky movie. You ain't gonna get nothing else out of it, probably. other than that. No matter even if Lifetime picks it up, TNT or anybody. You ain't going to get a love story out of it. It's a movie based one way and one way only. No one wins. There's heartbreak all around, no matter what kind of movie you make. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to solving more of the Delphi madness. I hope you all relax a whole football team of players. Yeah, well, I imagine so, Deb. It's just too. It's just no one remember. No one seen. No one. That's Richard Allen. That not one person. Right underneath their noses, either it was something bigger, and there was other people hiding these players in the game or diverting us away. Well, we don't know. But here's what we do know. Now we all need security. See? Because they've had 7 years, they might be out killing anybody that gets close to them. Do you understand, folks? It imagines why I'm in the condition I'm in right now. It's probably we got a little bit too close to the madness. And they sent their henchmen or whatever. Right? I imagine some of these YouTubers are right, man. Commenting on my channel. Are you all right, dude? What'd they do? I mean, I don't know. They might have got too close to all of us YouTubers. Matter of fact, the people we think are YouTube crime fighters might actually be their killers watching, stalking us, sending beautiful women to try and lure us to our deaths. We don't know. We need security. We need lasers, UFOs flying around protecting us, everything. I'm not joking. I'm serious. People are not using their heads. And it's almost demonic where some of us are going, what is going on? These people do not see they will kill them people quicker than they killed the girls. And people are not seeing it. Why? I don't know. Magical, maybe. Spell, curse, maybe. Aliens, I don't know. Maybe. Uh, some kind of mind altering ray gun. Possible. Very possible. The mind only operates on radio signals. That's what the brain is. A giant radio with connections and receivers and telepathic out. I don't, this is too much for me. This is too much for me. I can't deal with it. No, Debbie, no. Debbie said they're all losers. Don't lose. They are, but I can't take. It's just a frequency. If you hit the human brain with a certain radio frequency, there's been experience. I don't want to talk about it. My brain is hurting right now. Experiments in the 40s and 50s and 30s and everything on brains and radiosonic waves. Don't these people understand anything? Elon, please. I know. Who is it? Is it government? Shut the radiation gun off. My brain is shrinking. Good God, shut it off before it gets to my manhood. No, I am ending this because I can't deal with it. I might be back later with another video. They just don't see the big picture. Why? I don't know, but a lot of the professionals are saying they might be wrapped up in it. And I was like, I told you, idiots. I'm the one with a disability and an idiot. And I've been telling you there. We don't know. We have no idea, but everybody's got amnesia. I wonder why. I wonder why. Now I'm getting off this contraption. Anything is possible. Do I think the family would do something like that? God, we hope not. I don't think so. But if you're an investigator, that's the first thing they're trained to look at. So I can't say these people that want to know more about what was going on at that time or the family or whatever, I can't say they're wrong because we are seeing these all over YouTube, all over America, all over the world. These parents taking their own children's lives. I don't know. Some spirituals saying it's what the Bible said. Some just so wrapped up in the devil, drugs, sex, everything, where they would rather go out and party than stay home with their kids or whatever. So yeah, dilute, magnet, demonic, it's everything. I'm done. You ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Be safe. God bless. Oh, I wanted to go ahead and post this gentleman's Nevilis, excuse me, true crime, which I am going to post right now in my chat. I also posted it in my description. So, folks, go check out Native True Crime. Is it Native or Nautical? I'm going to post it right here. You folks figure it out. I'm dumb. I can't pronounce words too good. Let me see if I can pronounce it right. Novelist? Novelist? True crime? I don't know. I am dyslexic, I think, or something. Part of my disability or something. Right? So, don't judge me. I'm just an idiot. All right, so there you go, folks. I just posted his channel in there, and it is in my description. Check it out. Some good theories. I'm not going to lie. Is this gentleman wrong with his theory? No. No, he's right. I don't know why the defense didn't know. Maybe because the whole time their client was saying he was guilty. I don't know. What kind of case do you got when you got your own client on camera and all over on the phones and there? He's going to kill everybody. What kind of case you got? They probably didn't do any investigation because they thought he was going to plead guilty, possibly. The evidence might have been all stacked up. They knew it. But then again, there ain't no money made when there ain't no court on either side. Ain't no lawyers, nobody, state, anyone getting paid. When you ain't got no court, baby. Right? No court date, no money. No war, no money. Or wait, whatever, background. See, I'm dyslexic or whatever they call it. If you ain't got no war, you got no money. So there you go, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Applause for this creator that we just watched right now. Some good stuff, some good calculations, and some good observations. Now, whether we know if the killer had the girl's underwear and socks in his pocket, I don't know, but I can tell you this much. If they find them at someone's house or on their property, I can guarantee you that they're guilty. And I'm wondering what else they found. If Richard is truly the killer, then there is evidence that he is a serial rapist killer. Do you understand that, folks? You heard it here on this channel first, Johnny Kramer's channel, right here. John Kramer, Johnny Kramer, John, whatever you guys want to call names, okay? They all mean the same. But anyways, if he's got stuff at his house, then he's the killer because only a sicko would take something like that to remember it over and over and over again every day of his power and what he's done. And he might have had other things that he taken from other murders around the state. Enter the Stevenson, Evansdale. There might have been connections. and numerous other ones. Why don't people want to see the big thing, Jesus? I don't know. Lord, why? I have no idea. The devil's got to have a hand in it, I'll tell you that. Have a good night. Be safe. God bless. I want to thank my mod, Miss Debbie Fox, for participating. I want to thank Rick for participating, and even the good old troll. Wait, where'd he go? Whatever troll it was that was in there. I even want to thank them because without trolls, our views probably would be even lower. God bless you all. Have a good night. I'll be back later.